There is something about Florida that teaches you to stop looking. You walk past the retention pond behind the grocery store. You let the dog off the leash at the edge of the canal. You float the spring run on a Sunday afternoon with the cooler balanced on your stomach, and you do not think even once about what is in the water under you. That is not ignorance. It is something stranger. It is a kind of agreement the whole state seems to have made that the wild things are out there somewhere, in the documentaries, in the Everglades, in the places you do not go. Not here, not in this pond, not under this dock. But the animals never signed that agreement. They are in the pond. They are under the dock. And the people who live closest to them are often the ones who have trained themselves hardest not to see them. Today we are counting down 9 apex predators that roam Florida in numbers most residents would find difficult to believe, ranked not by which is most dangerous on paper, but by how completely the people living alongside them have learned to pretend they are not there. Some of these you will have driven past this week. By the time we reach number 1, you may understand why the silence around it is the loudest thing on this list. Before we start counting down, if this is the kind of thing you find yourself thinking about, go ahead and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps the channel. And I want to know one thing while you are here. Where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments. Big city or small town, it does not matter. I love seeing how far this reaches. Now let's get into the list. Number 9, the bobcat. We begin with a ghost that lives in all 67 counties of Florida. The bobcat is found in every corner of the state, from the Panhandle Pine Flatwoods to the suburban edges of Miami, and almost no one ever sees one. That is the entire point of a bobcat. It is built to be a roomer. An adult weighs between 15 and 30 pounds, roughly the size of a large house cat stretched into something leaner and far more capable. It hunts rabbits, rodents, and birds, and it does so along the exact green margins where Florida neighborhoods meet undeveloped land, the drainage easement, the wooded lot at the end of the cul-de-sac, the golf course at dawn. Wildlife officials note that bobcats have adapted comfortably to suburban life, moving through backyards in the pre-dawn hours and vanishing before the first jogger appears. The denial here is almost total. A resident will report a huge cat and assume it was someone's escaped pet, because the alternative that a wild predator has a hunting circuit that includes their fence line does not fit the story they tell about where they live. But the bobcat has been there the entire time, watching the same yard you water on Saturdays. It earns number 9, not because it is dangerous to people, but because it is the perfect introduction to the theme of this list. The most successful predators in Florida are the ones you have already decided are not real. Number 8, the coyote. If the bobcat is a ghost, the coyote is a colonist. And the thing most Floridians get wrong about it is the single most important fact. It is now confirmed in every one of the state's 67 counties, and it was not here a century ago. Coyotes are not native to Florida. They expanded eastward across the continent over the last 100 years, filling the space left by the wolves that European settlement erased, and they arrived in a state that had no cultural memory of them at all. That is what makes the denial so clean. There is no Florida folklore about coyotes, no grandfather's warning, no inherited caution. So when one trots across a parking lot at dusk, the mind reaches for stray dog because that is the only file it has. An adult Florida coyote runs roughly 20 to 35 pounds, smaller than its western cousins, and it is an opportunist of extraordinary flexibility. It eats rodents, fruit, insects, garbage, and, to the genuine distress of suburban pet owners, the occasional outdoor cat or small dog left unattended near the tree line. Wildlife agencies receive a steady stream of calls each year from residents stunned to learn that the animal denning under their shed is not a feral dog, but a wild canid that has quietly become one of the most widespread predators in the state. It claims number 8 because it pulled off the hardest trick of all. It moved into the entire state, and most people never noticed it arrive. Number 7, the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Now we move from the animals people mistake for something else to the animal people refuse to picture at all. The eastern diamondback is the largest venomous snake in North America, and its heartland is the southeastern coastal plain, which means Florida is not the edge of its range. Florida is the center of it. A large eastern diamondback can exceed 6 feet in length, with a body as thick as a man's forearm and fangs long enough to deliver venom deep into tissue. It lives in palmetto scrub, pine flatwoods, coastal dunes, and the overgrown lots that border golf courses and gated communities across the peninsula. It does not want to meet you. Its first defense is stillness. Its second is the warning rattle, and a bite is very much a last resort. But the venom is potently hemotoxic, the kind that destroys blood cells and tissue, and a serious bite is a genuine medical emergency requiring anti-venom and immediate care. Here is the denial. People in Diamondback country walk their dogs along the same brush line every morning and assure themselves that you never see snakes around here. And they are right that they never see them, because the Diamondback's entire survival strategy is to not be seen. The gopher tortoise burrow at the edge of the development, the palmetto thicket the kids cut through on the way to the bus stop. This is prime habitat, and it is woven directly into the residential map of the state. Number 7 goes to the snake. Everyone is sure isn't there, lying perfectly still 15 feet from a sidewalk. Number 6, the Florida black bear. There is a real breeding, expanding population of black bears in Florida, and the average resident's mental image of the state simply has no room for it. Beaches, swamps, alligators, retirees, but not bears. And yet the Florida black bear is here, the largest land mammal in the state, with adult males commonly reaching 250 to 400 pounds. The black bear story is one of quiet recovery. Hunted and squeezed to a few hundred animals decades ago, it has rebounded into the thousands and reclaimed territory across central and northern Florida and pockets of the South. As bear range and human development grow into each other, the encounters multiply. Bears in swimming pools, bears on porches, bears methodically working through a row of suburban garbage cans at 3 in the morning. Wildlife managers field thousands of bear-related calls a year, a number that climbs as subdivisions push into the scrub the bears never left. A black bear is not a habitual predator of people, and it would generally rather leave than fight, but it is enormous, powerful, and increasingly comfortable around the human food it has learned to associate with neighborhoods. A bear that has lost its fear of people because of an unsecured dumpster is a genuinely hazardous animal, and that loss of fear is something residents create without meaning to. The denial is in the surprise. The universal, "I had no idea there were bears here," spoken in a town that has had bears the entire time. Number 6. Number 5, the American crocodile. We are right at the halfway point, and if you are still here, you are clearly someone who actually wants to know what is out there. So hit subscribe if you haven't yet, because the top of this list is where it stops being theoretical. Everyone in Florida knows the alligator. Almost no one realizes that it shares the southern tip of the state with a second, larger, entirely separate crocodilian, and that this is the only place in the United States where that is true. The American crocodile lives in the brackish and saltwater channels where the Everglades system meets Florida Bay and the Gulf, concentrated in the far south and the Keys. It is leaner and grayer than an alligator, with a narrower snout, and it can exceed 13 feet in length. Its current Florida population sits at an estimated 1,500 to 2,000 animals, a conservation comeback story brought back from the brink that has quietly placed a large saltwater-tolerant crocodile in the canals of South Florida's most developed coastline. That is the part residents cannot quite absorb. The crocodile is not deep in some inaccessible wilderness. It suns itself on the banks of marinas, golf course lagoons, and the cooling canals beside a power plant near Homestead, where one of the species' strongholds happens to sit. People in those neighborhoods have learned to call every long reptile an alligator, because two species of giant crocodilian sharing your waterway is one species too many for the mind to hold. The American crocodile earns number 5 for being hidden in plain sight by a case of mistaken identity, a 13-foot animal that an entire region has agreed to misname. Number 4, the Burmese python. Now we reach the predator that should not exist here at all, and does, in numbers no one can fully count. The Burmese python was never part of Florida. It arrived through the exotic pet trade, escaped and was released into the Everglades over decades, and found in the South Florida wetlands, a near-perfect replica of its native Southeast Asian home. It is now a fully established breeding population, and the conservative estimate runs into the tens of thousands. These are among the largest snakes on Earth. A record specimen pulled from the Everglades measured over 17 feet, and large pythons routinely exceed 15. They are powerful constrictors, deeply aquatic and almost invisible. Researchers have shown that even trained searchers walk past concealed pythons the overwhelming majority of the time. Their effect on the ecosystem has been catastrophic in the literal sense. Across large stretches of the park, populations of raccoons, opossums, rabbits, and bobcats have collapsed by 90% or more, eaten out of the landscape by a snake that has no natural check. The denial around the python is a strange one, because Floridians do know it exists. It is in the news. It has its own state-sponsored hunt. What they pretend not to know is the scale and the spread. The python is no longer only a deep Everglades problem. Environmental DNA has been detected north of Lake Okeechobee, and the animal's range creeps outward each year. A kayaker gliding through a marsh channel, a photographer crouched at the water's edge, shares that water with a constrictor that can be longer than the boat and is submerged and motionless until the moment it is not. Number 4. Number 3, the Florida panther. We have arrived at the real apex predator of the Florida wilderness, the animal at the top of the food chain, and it is so rare that its rarity has become its own kind of disappearance. There are only an estimated 120 to 230 adult Florida panthers left in the entire world, all of them here, the last breeding population of pumas east of the Mississippi. A male panther can weigh up to 160 pounds and command a home range of 200 square miles, hunting deer and feral hogs through the cypress and palmetto of the southwest Florida interior. It is tawny, silent, and almost never seen, so seldom that wildlife officials actively plead with the public for verified photographs. The breeding course sits south of the Caloosahatchee River, but young males disperse astonishing distances, and individual panthers have been documented ranging north into central Florida, up toward Orlando, and one famously wandered all the way into Georgia. Here the denial inverts. With most animals on this list, people insist the predator is absent when it is present. With the panther, people have decided it is simply gone. A relic, a license plate, a mascot, when in fact, it is clinging on, moving through ranch land and preserve at the exact edges of a state developing faster than almost anywhere in the country. The greatest threat to it is the road. Vehicle strikes are the leading cause of panther death, which means the most common way a Floridian encounters the rarest large predator in their state is as a body on the shoulder of a highway at dawn. Number 3 belongs to the ghost that is still, against everything, alive. Number 2, the bull shark. Now we come to the one that breaks people. Because everyone accepts that there are sharks off the Florida coast, that is the deal you make with the ocean. What residents have trained themselves not to think about is that one particular shark does not stay in the ocean. The bull shark swims up the rivers. It swims into the freshwater your kids are wading in miles. The bull shark is broad, powerful, and reaches up to roughly 11 feet and 500 pounds. It is regarded by many researchers as responsible for more bites in shallow, near-shore, and riverine water than any other shark, precisely because it hunts where people are. And it possesses a physiological gift almost no other large shark shares. It can regulate the salt in its body and move freely from salt water into fresh. It uses that ability to travel deep inland. Bull sharks have been confirmed hundreds of miles up American river systems, and in Florida, they are documented residents of tidal rivers like the Caloosahatchee and the Peace, well away from the open Gulf. This is the denial that costs the most to hold. The man fishing waist-deep in a brackish river at dusk, the family swimming off a sandbar in a coastal estuary. They are sharing that murky water with an animal perfectly built for it, one that followed the tide inland without a single sign marking the crossing from ocean to river. There is no fence, there is no boundary. The fresh water is not a refuge from the shark. For the bull shark, it is simply more territory. Number 2 goes to the predator that ignored the one rule everyone counted on it to follow. Number 1, the American alligator. And so we arrive at number 1, and it is, of course, the alligator. Not because it is the most exotic animal on this list, but because it is the one Florida has perfected the art of not seeing. There are an estimated 1.3 million alligators in Florida, found in all 67 counties, and the relationship between that number and the way people behave around water is the single strangest thing in this entire state. Think about what 1.3 million means. It means the retention pond in the office park has one. It means the water hazard on the golf course has one. It means the canal behind the subdivision, the lake at the center of the master plan community, the slow green river, the tour boats run, all of them potential alligator habitat, because the alligator lives in essentially every fresh and brackish waterway in the state. An adult male commonly exceeds 10 feet. The largest individuals push past 13 and over 1,000 pounds, and they are ambush hunters of extraordinary patience, capable of holding motionless at the waterline for hours, all but invisible in dark water with a strike that closes in a fraction of a second. And Florida has simply absorbed this. Residents jog past the pond gator the way New Yorkers step over a subway grate. The denial here is not that the alligator is absent. Everyone knows it is there. It is the casual, daily, load-bearing pretense that it does not matter. That the gator in the neighborhood lake is a fixture, a feature, almost a pet, until the morning it is not. Wildlife managers warn that the most dangerous alligators are the ones that have been fed by people and have lost their natural wariness, and that habituation is something humans manufacture, one tossed marshmallow at a time, in the exact ponds where children play. The alligator is number 1 because it is the purest version of the whole list, a true apex predator, more than 1 million strong, living in the water beside us, made invisible not by stealth, but by sheer familiarity. We did not stop seeing it because it hid. We stopped seeing it because it never left. And look